Have you ever paused to consider whether the way you move through the world might be quietly pushing people away? As we age, we settle into habits, some comforting, some wise, but others, over time, can become blind spots. These subtle behaviors can shape how family, friends, and even strangers perceive us, often without a word of feedback. No one wants to feel like they're drifting apart from those they care about. Yet these patterns can create distance, not because people don't love you, but because they don't know how to address what they notice. In this video, we're diving deep into 12 habits you might not realize are affecting your relationships. This isn't about judgment. It's about reflection, awareness, and the opportunity to carry yourself with greater grace, confidence, and connection in your later years. Each of these habits is a mirror, not to shame you, but to gently ask, is this still serving me? Is this bringing me closer to others or quietly pushing them away? The beauty of this journey is that awareness is the first step, and most of these patterns are entirely within your power to shift. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize these behaviors, but also have practical, heartfelt ways to adjust them. These small changes can transform how others experience you, and more importantly, how you experience yourself. So, settle in, keep an open mind, and let's explore these 12 habits together. Stick with me until the end, because the insights you gain could spark a profound shift in your relationships and your sense of self. One of the first things people notice, yet rarely mention, is when personal hygiene begins to slip. This isn't about drastic neglect. It's the small, cumulative details. Clothes worn a few days too long, hair left uncombed, fingernails grown just a bit too jagged, or a faint odor that lingers after you've left the room. These might seem trivial to you, especially if you're feeling tired or less motivated than you once were. But to others, they speak volumes. Hygiene isn't just about cleanliness. It's a reflection of how you value yourself and how you present to the world. In our younger years, these routines are second nature. We shower before work, pick out fresh outfits, and keep up appearances without much thought. But as we age, energy can wane, priorities shift, and some begin to wonder, does it really matter? Maybe you're living alone, or maybe you feel like no one's paying attention. But here's the truth. People notice. Your children, grandchildren, friends, even strangers in the grocery store, they pick up on these cues. They may not say anything, not because they don't care, but because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Younger family members, in particular, often struggle to find the words to address it without seeming disrespectful. So what happens instead? They adjust. They sit a little farther away at the dinner table. They shorten their visits. They hesitate before offering a hug. These aren't rejections of you as a person. They're reactions to the message your self-care sends. When hygiene slips, it can feel to others like you've given up a little, like you don't value yourself as much as you once did. And here's the unspoken impact. When you stop prioritizing your own care, others may unconsciously mirror that, treating you with less warmth or respect. Now, this doesn't mean you need to overhaul your wardrobe or douse yourself in perfume. The fix is simpler. Commit to the basics. A fresh shirt each day, a quick brush through your hair, clean nails, and a splash of soap. These small acts are like a signal to the world. I'm still here. I still care. I respect myself and those around me. They invite closeness, kindness, and dignity. People respond to your energy before they respond to your words. And hygiene is one of the clearest reflections of that energy. When you show up cared for, others are drawn to you, not just physically, but emotionally. They feel comfortable, safe, and eager to connect. That's a powerful message, and it's one you can send every single day. What you can do, start small. Set a daily routine, shower, brush your teeth, wear clean clothes. If mobility is an issue, ask for help organizing your space to make these tasks easier. Invest in a few comfortable, easy-to-wear outfits that make you feel good. Notice how others respond when you prioritize yourself. You'll likely feel a shift in their warmth and engagement. And more importantly, you'll feel better in your own skin. As we age, something curious often happens. The inner filter that once cautioned, maybe don't say that, starts to fade. You might feel liberated, even proud, thinking, I've earned the right to speak my mind. And in many ways, you have. Your years of experience give you a perspective worth sharing. But there's a fine line between honesty and bluntness. And crossing it can leave others feeling stung, even if that wasn't your intent. Maybe you've made a comment about someone's weight, their parenting style, or their career choices, thinking you're just keeping it real. Perhaps you brushed off their reaction with, "I'm just being honest," or "People are too sensitive these days." But honesty without compassion often lands as criticism. The people on the receiving end, your kids, grandkids, friends, or even strangers, may not tell you how it feels. Instead, they pull back. You might notice fewer invitations to gatherings, shorter phone calls, or a hesitance to share personal details. They're not rejecting you. They're protecting themselves from the discomfort of those unguarded remarks. This habit often stems from a good place, a desire to help, to guide, or to share what you've learned. But when words come out unfiltered, they can hit harder than you realize. A comment about a grandchild's appearance might make them self-conscious. A jab at a friend's life choices might leave them feeling judged. Over time, these moments add up, creating a quiet distance that's hard to pinpoint. The good news? You don't need to censor yourself or walk on eggshells. The key is pausing before you speak and asking two simple questions. Is this helpful? Is this kind? If the answer to either is no, consider rephrasing or holding back. For example, instead of saying, "You're raising your kids too softly," you might ask, "How's parenting going for you?" It seems like such a different world now. This opens a dialogue rather than shutting one down. Your wisdom is one of your greatest gifts, especially as you age. When it's delivered with kindness, people lean in. They listen. They respect you deeply. But when it's wrapped in sarcasm or judgment, they tune out, even if they love you. A good rule of thumb: if you wouldn't want someone saying it to someone you care about, reconsider saying it at all. Your words have power, perhaps more now than ever. Use them to build connection, not walls. What you can do: practice the pause. Before commenting, take a breath and think about your intent. If you catch yourself saying something sharp, soften it with, "I didn't mean that to sound harsh. Let me try again." Over time, this awareness becomes second nature, and you'll notice people opening up to you more, eager to hear your perspective because it feels safe and caring. There's comfort in familiarity, eating the same breakfast, walking the same route, wearing the same clothes year after year. But when it comes to clothing, what once felt classic can start to look careless. Pants that hang too loose, shirts that cling too tight, styles frozen in a decade-long past, or shoes worn beyond repair. These aren't just wardrobe choices. They send a message about how connected you are to the present. You might not notice the frayed hems or the outdated fit, especially if you're comfortable, but others do. Your family, friends, even strangers register these details, often without saying a word. It's not about vanity. It's about dignity. Clothes that no longer fit or reflect who you are today can suggest you've stopped paying attention, that you're living in the past rather than the present. And while no one will pull you aside to say, "Your shirt doesn't fit," they'll feel it. They might smile less, engage less, or treat you with a touch less reverence. Not because they don't care, but because appearances shape perceptions, whether we like it or not. This isn't about chasing trends or dressing like someone half your age. It's about showing the world you still see yourself as someone worth caring for. Well-fitted clothes, even simple ones, signal self-respect. They tell others you're engaged, aware, and proud of who you are now. Think about it. When you see someone older in a crisp shirt or a well-chosen jacket, don't you feel a spark of admiration? It's not the fabric, it's the message. This person still shows up. Updating your wardrobe doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with a few versatile pieces: jeans that fit your current shape, a shirt that flatters your coloring, shoes that feel good and look polished. If shopping feels daunting, ask a trusted friend or family member for help. You don't need to spend a fortune or follow fashion magazines. The goal is to wear clothes that make you feel like your best self, not a relic of who you were 20 years ago. Some might say, "Why care what others think? I'm comfortable," and comfort matters. But there's a difference between comfort and disengagement. You could be relaxed and put together, cozy and respectful of your appearance. When you dress with intention, people respond. Not with compliments, necessarily, but with warmth, respect, and a sense that you're still fully present in the world. That first impression still matters, no matter your age. What you can do: take inventory of your closet. Donate or repair items that no longer fit or feel current. Invest in a few staples: a pair of well-fitting pants, a couple of shirts, comfortable shoes. If you're unsure where to start, visit a store with a helpful staff or bring along someone whose style you admire. Notice how you feel when you wear something that fits well. It's not just about others. It's about reclaiming your confidence. After a lifetime of experiences, it's natural to want to share what you've learned. You've navigated challenges, raised families, built careers. You have stories and wisdom worth hearing. But sometimes, in the eagerness to contribute, you might unintentionally take up too much space in conversations. Maybe you interrupt to share a related story. Maybe you offer advice before it's asked for. Maybe you steer the discussion back to your experiences, leaving little room for others to speak. This habit often comes from a genuine place, a desire to help, to connect, or to feel relevant. But when you dominate conversations, it can feel like a one-way street to others. Your children, grandchildren, or friends might want to share their thoughts but find themselves sidelined. They won't always tell you. They might just nod politely, then quietly withdraw. You'll notice shorter chats, fewer invitations to talk, or a hesitance to dive into deeper topics. They're not pulling away because they don't value you. They're pulling away because they don't feel heard. The irony is that the more you listen, the more people seek your input. When you give others space to express themselves, they trust you more. They feel seen, valued, and eager to hear your perspective because it comes from a place of mutual respect. This is especially true with younger people who may already feel a generational gap. When you dominate, they might assume you're not interested in their world. But when you listen, you bridge that gap, creating a connection that feels safe and meaningful. Listening doesn't mean staying silent. It means asking questions, letting pauses linger, and resisting the urge to jump in with a story or solution. For example, if a grandchild talks about a challenge at school, instead of saying, "When I was your age, we handled it like this. Try that. Sounds tough. What's it been like for you?" This small shift invites them to open up. And when you do share your wisdom, it lands with more impact because they know you've heard them first. What you can do: practice active listening. In your next conversation, aim to ask at least 2 questions before sharing your own thoughts. Notice when you're tempted to interrupt. Take a breath and let the other person finish. Try to leave every conversation with the other person feeling valued. Over time, you'll find people seeking you out, not just for your stories, but for the way you make them feel heard. It's easy to look at younger people, glued to their phones, making choices you don't understand, and think, "What's wrong with kids today?" Maybe you've said it out loud. "Back in my day, we worked harder," or "They're too soft." These comments often slip out as observations, maybe even jokes. But to the people hearing them, especially your children, grandchildren, or younger friends, they can feel like a rejection of their entire world. Every generation critiques the one that follows. It's a timeless pattern. But when criticism becomes a default, it doesn't come across as wisdom. It feels like bitterness. Younger people, navigating a world of technology, economic shifts, and cultural changes, want to feel understood, not judged. When you dismiss their values or choices, they don't argue back. They just retreat. You might notice they share less, avoid certain topics, or keep conversations surface level. They're not rejecting you. They're protecting themselves from feeling dismissed. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything younger generations do. You don't need to love their music or embrace every trend. But choosing curiosity over criticism can transform your relationships. Instead of saying, "You're always on that phone. Try what's so interesting on there. Show me." Instead of, "You've got it easy," ask, "What's the toughest part of your life right now?" These questions open doors to understanding, not division. Your value as an elder isn't in proving the past was better. It's in bridging generations, offering a steady perspective while respecting theirs. When younger people feel you're open to their world, they listen more. They ask for your advice. They see you not just as old, but as wise, approachable, and relevant. That's influence that lasts. What you can do: catch yourself when you're about to criticize. Replace judgment with a question: "What's it like for you?" Or "How do you see this?" Spend time with younger family members doing something they enjoy. It could be as simple as watching a show they love. Notice how they light up when you show interest. Over time, These small efforts build trust and closeness. The world has changed, and with it, the unwritten rules of shared spaces. Behaviors that were once shrugged off, loud phone conversations, standing too close in line, playing videos without headphones, now make people uncomfortable. These small breaches of modern etiquette might not seem like a big deal to you, especially if they weren't issues decades ago. But to others, they signal a lack of awareness, and that can create friction. You might not notice when you're blocking a store aisle or talking loudly in a quiet cafe. No one will likely confront you. They'll just move around you, avoid eye contact, or sigh quietly. But these moments add up. In public spaces like subways, coffee shops, or malls, people expect a certain level of consideration. Keeping your voice down, respecting personal space, being mindful of how your actions affect others. When these norms are ignored, it can feel to others like you're disregarding their comfort. This isn't about being overly polite or conforming to every new rule. It's about showing you're still tuned into the world. Modern etiquette is rooted in respect for shared spaces, for others' time, for the collective experience. When you navigate these spaces with awareness, you send a message: I'm present. I care about how I impact others. That earns quiet respect, not just from strangers, but from family and friends who notice your thoughtfulness. What you can do: observe how others behave in public. Notice their volume, how they move, how they use technology. Practice small adjustments. Use earphones for videos. Step aside in busy areas. Keep phone calls brief and quiet. If you're unsure about a norm, ask a younger family member for guidance. They'll appreciate your effort to learn. These small acts of awareness make you stand out as considerate and engaged. Aging comes with physical challenges, and it's natural to want to share them, especially with those close to you. But when conversations consistently focus on aches, doctor visits, or medications, it can shift the dynamic from connection to caretaking. Your family and friends care about you, but constant health talk can overwhelm them, especially younger people who may feel helpless or unsure how to respond. This doesn't mean you should hide your struggles. You deserve empathy and support, but balance is key. When health dominates every chat, it can feel to others like you're defined by your ailments, not your stories, passions, or wisdom. They might start to pull back, not out of disrespect, but because the weight of those conversations feels heavy. You'll notice shorter visits, less engagement, or a reluctance to dive into deeper topics. Instead, weave in other parts of your life. Talk about the book you're reading, the flowers blooming in your yard, or a funny memory from years ago. Share health updates when needed, but choose your moments and audience wisely. A close friend might be the right person, not a casual acquaintance. By focusing on what still brings you joy, you invite lighter, more mutual connections. What you can do: for every health-related comment, share 2 non-health topics. Ask others about their lives, work, hobbies, dreams. Keep a journal to process health concerns privately, freeing up conversations for connection. Notice how relationships feel when you focus on shared interests. You'll likely feel lighter too. Over a lifetime, you've built beliefs that guided you through tough choices and shaped your values. But as the world evolves, technology, culture, social norms, some of those beliefs can harden into absolutes that no longer fit. You might say, that's just how it is, or I don't care what anyone says, I know what's right. While this feels like standing your ground, to others, it can sound like resistance to growth. Younger generations, navigating a world of rapid change, notice this rigidity. They won't always challenge you. They'll just stop sharing certain parts of themselves. You might sense a distance, a reluctance to discuss big topics like careers, relationships, or values. They're not dismissing you. They're protecting themselves from feeling misunderstood. Staying open doesn't mean abandoning your principles. It means being willing to listen, to consider new perspectives, even if you don't fully agree. Saying, I hadn't thought of it that way, or tell me more, shows courage, not weakness. It invites trust and keeps you relevant, not because you've changed your core, but because you're still a student of life. What you can do: when you feel defensive about a belief, pause and ask, why do I feel this way? Engage with someone younger about a topic they care about. Ask questions, listen without debating. Read or watch something that challenges your views. Notice how people respond when you show curiosity. They'll open up, and you'll feel more connected. As we age, our pace slows, and our movements become more cautious. That's natural. But what's less obvious is how unaware we can become of our surroundings. Blocking a grocery aisle, stopping suddenly in a busy walkway, or drifting into someone's path. These moments happen without ill intent. You're focused on your task, not trying to inconvenience anyone. But to others, especially in crowded spaces, it feels like friction. People rarely speak up. They'll step around you, sigh quietly, or avoid walking near you. Over time, these small disruptions can shape how others perceive you, not as unkind, but as disconnected. In shared spaces like stores, sidewalks, or airports, awareness is a form of respect. Moving deliberately, keeping pathways clear, and staying mindful of the flow around you shows you're present and considerate. What you can do: practice scanning your surroundings. In busy areas, step to the side if you need to pause. Keep your cart or bags out of others' way. If you're unsure how you're coming across, ask a friend to gently point out moments of unawareness. These small adjustments make you a thoughtful presence, earning quiet appreciation. A sense of humor is a gift, especially as you age. It lightens moments and builds bonds. But humor evolves, and jokes that once landed well, sarcasm, stereotypes, or teasing, can feel out of step today. You might say, "I'm just kidding," or "lighten up," but to younger people, especially, these remarks can feel disrespectful or disconnected. Today's culture values inclusion and empathy. Jokes that poke fun at differences, appearance, background, choices, often miss the mark. People might laugh politely, but inside, they're pulling back. You'll notice they avoid deeper conversations or keep things light, not because they don't like you, but because they're bracing for discomfort. Humor that uplifts, self-deprecating, clever, or story-based, builds connection. Laughing at your own quirks or sharing a funny memory invites warmth. Thoughtful humor shows you're engaged with today's world, not stuck in the past. What you can do: before joking, ask, will this lift or sting? Avoid humor that targets someone's identity or choices. Practice self-deprecating or universal humor. Everyone relates to life's small absurdities. Watch a modern comedy special to get a feel for current humor. Notice how people relax when your jokes feel inclusive and kind. Aging brings real limitations, and asking for help is okay. But defaulting to "can you do it for me?" or "I'll mess it up" when you're capable can frustrate others. It might feel safer to let someone else handle tasks, technology, chores, decisions. But over time, this can shift relationships toward caretaking, not partnership. Family and friends might not say anything, but they feel it. They might do tasks with a smile, but inside, there's quiet resentment. This habit often stems from fear. Fear of failure, of looking foolish, of not keeping up. But effort, even imperfect, earns admiration. Try to use a new device or cook a meal shows you're still in the game. And that inspires pride, not pity. What you can do: tackle one small task you've avoided. Learn a phone feature, organize a drawer, follow a recipe. Ask for help only when truly needed, and frame it clearly. Can you show me how? Celebrate your efforts, no matter the outcome. Notice how empowered you feel, and how others respond with respect. With decades of experience, it's natural to feel confident in your knowledge. You've earned your perspective, but when being right overshadows connection, it can exhaust others. Correcting stories, dismissing ideas, or saying, "I know better," might feel like asserting authority, but it often shuts down dialogue. People won't argue. They'll just stop engaging. You'll notice shorter conversations, less sharing, or reluctance to challenge you. They're not conceding. They're avoiding conflict. This habit often comes from a need to feel secure in a changing world, but it backfires. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing when to listen. When you let others speak, reflect, and share without needing to win, they seek your input more. Your words carry weight because they're thoughtful, not forceful. Being open doesn't diminish your authority. It deepens your influence. What you can do: in conversations, aim to learn something new. Say, "That's interesting. Tell me more," even if you disagree. Admit when you're unsure or wrong. It shows strength. Notice how people open up when you value their perspective. Your presence becomes a gift, not a challenge. These 12 habits aren't flaws. They're human. They creep in quietly, shaped by time, comfort, or fear. But recognizing them is an act of courage. Reflect without judgment. Which habits resonate? Which feel ready to shift? Each small change is a step toward deeper connections, greater confidence, and a presence that inspires. Aging well isn't about perfection. It's about showing up with awareness, kindness, and a willingness to evolve. You're not just refining habits. You're reclaiming your impact, your dignity, and your place in the world. The people around you will feel it through warmer hugs, longer talks, and a quiet admiration that grows with every step you take. We'd love to hear from you. Comment below. Which habit surprised you most? How will you apply one insight to your life? Your thoughts fuel this community, and we're grateful for every voice. If this video resonated, like, subscribe, and share. It helps us create more content to inform and inspire. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.